Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're journeying through the Sirah of the Prophet. This book really resonated with you, and I have to say, the author's introduction really grabbed me too.
Yeah, it's quite striking, the way the author details this powerful connection to the prophet, even before like any formal study, right?
Yeah.
It speaks to that universality of his experiences, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how the author, discovered solace in knowing that even Prophet Muhammad faced being orphaned. It's like this reminder that behind the title of prophet, there's a human being, someone who faced real challenges, just like us.
Precisely. And the book really emphasizes this, right? Studying the Sirah, it isn't just about historical facts. It's about, connecting with that human experience, finding inspiration for navigating our own daily lives.
So let's start unpacking this incredible story. The book begins in Mecca, where the prophet was born, and as we know, orphaned at a young age. But even as a child, he was known for his honesty. This earned him the title Al-Amin, the Trustworthy. Talk about an early sign of his character.
It's remarkable how this reputation for trustworthiness, it wasn't just a childhood thing. The book highlights how this integrity it continued into adulthood, shaping his interactions and dealings,
Yeah.
even before his prophetic mission began.
He eventually marries Khadija, right, a successful businesswoman, a period of his life the author emphasizes as particularly significant. Then comes, well, a pivotal moment, the revelation.
Yes, at 40. While reflecting in a cave, he receives his first revelation from God through the angel Gabriel. It's a moment that, marks the beginning not only of his prophetic mission, but also the revelation of the Quran.
It makes you wonder about the profound impact this must have had on him. The book mentions his wife Khadija's reaction. She immediately becomes his first convert and a source of unwavering support, especially in those uncertain early days.
Her immediate belief, it really speaks volumes about the trust in their relationship. And it wasn't just her. The book also talks about, those first converts to Islam, a small group, but each one taking a huge leap of faith in those, let's be honest, uncertain times.
Makes you think about the courage it takes to embrace new ideas, especially when there's uncertainty. And, it's not just about faith, is it? Even in those early days, the book highlights the prophet's commitment to social justice.
Absolutely. The book underscores this throughout. It wasn't simply about a personal connection with God. It's about enacting that faith to create a more just and equitable society, starting right there in Mecca.
Which is interesting because as the Muslim community grew, so did the kind of resistance they faced. The book details the, escalating persecution they encountered in Mecca. What was the prophet's response? I mean, in the face of such adversity?
It's remarkable, isn't it? Despite facing increasing, pressure and hostility, he remained steadfast. In his message of peace and compassion, the book really emphasizes this commitment to his faith, even when challenged.
This ultimately leads to a, pivotal moment in Islamic history, the Hijra, the migration to Medina. The book really conveys the weight of this decision to leave behind their homes and start anew in a new land.
It was a strategic move for the survival of the Muslim community. And what's fascinating is that this, challenging situation, it leads to the establishment of the first Islamic society in Medina.
And that's where we encounter a truly remarkable document, the Charter of Medina. Can you tell us more about this? Why does the book place such emphasis on it?
A Charter of Medina. Well, it was groundbreaking for its time. Imagine a document outlining the rights and responsibilities of different religious communities. It laid the foundation for what we would call today, a pluralistic society.
It's amazing to think about, right? A document advocating for tolerance and peaceful coexistence over 1,400 years ago. It truly highlights the prophet's vision, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The Charter of Medina, it wasn't just like a document. It was a reflection of the prophet's diplomacy and his vision for a society built on mutual respect. It's a testament to his leadership during a very, let's face it, precarious time.
And it's within this context of building a new society that we see the Muslims facing new challenges, specifically the Battle of Badr, which the book, I should point out, clearly distinguishes as a defensive action rather than an act of aggression.
Exactly. The book emphasizes that these were battles fought for survival, not for conquest. And within those battles, we see more of the prophet's character emerge, not just his strategic thinking and leadership, but also his humility, his compassion, even in the heat of conflict.
Even toward his enemies. That's incredible. Tell me more about that.
The book shares anecdotes that illustrate this side of him. It wasn't just about winning battles, it was about winning hearts and minds. He consistently demonstrated forgiveness, understanding, even towards those who opposed him, which Well, that speaks volumes about his character.
So we've covered the Prophet's early life, the revelations he received, the persecution he and his followers faced, their migration to Medina, the establishment of the first Islamic society, and the challenges they faced in defending it. What does the book cover next?
Well, the story, it takes another fascinating turn, one that speaks to the power of resilience and forgiveness. The next part delves into the eventual return to Mecca and the, well, remarkable events that unfolded there.
The return to Mecca, you say? That must have been a significant moment. What does the book highlight about this event?
It frames it as the conquest of Mecca. But, as the book emphasizes, it was far from like a typical conquest. It wasn't about violence or retribution or anything like that. Instead, it was a return marked by forgiveness and reconciliation, which is truly remarkable. I mean, considering the persecution they faced earlier, right?
So how did the Meccans receive them? After all, this was the very city they had to flee years earlier.
The book describes this remarkable transformation. It wasn't a hostile takeover or anything, but a return met, really, with open arms. Thousands were so moved by the Prophet's, compassion and his message of peace that they embraced Islam. It marked a turning point, really, a shift toward unity and understanding in Arabian society.
That's quite a powerful image. The Prophet returning to the city that once rejected him, not as a conqueror, but as a beacon of forgiveness and peace. It makes you reflect on the power of compassion, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It underscores that lasting change. It often comes through understanding and empathy, not force. And this wasn't just like a local phenomenon. The book talks about how the Prophet's message, it continued to spread, reaching far beyond the borders of Arabia.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that. How did that happen?
The book, it reveals a side of the Prophet we often don't hear about. He wasn't just a spiritual leader, right? He was also a skilled diplomat. He strategically sent letters to rulers of neighboring empires, extending invitations to understand Islam, to coexist peacefully.
That's fascinating. It really challenges the common narrative, doesn't it? He wasn't seeking to conquer, but to build bridges through diplomacy and dialogue.
Exactly. His approach was, multifaceted. He understood the power of communication, of engaging with leaders on an intellectual level, a diplomatic level, really, to foster understanding, and ultimately peaceful relations. And within his own community, he continued to emphasize the core tenets of his message.
In that regard, the book also mentions his farewell sermon. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Why was it so impactful?
The farewell sermon. Well, it's considered one of the most important speeches in Islamic history, delivered during his final pilgrimage. It, in a way, encapsulates the essence of his teachings. The book highlights its emphasis on unity, equality, and social justice as timeless principles.
It sounds like this sermon wasn't just a farewell address, but like a blueprint for building a just and equitable society. It makes you wonder what he would have achieved, had he lived longer.
Indeed. However, his legacy, it extended far beyond his lifetime. The book reminds us that even as his health declined, his commitment to his message, it never wavered. His life itself, it became a testament to his teachings, a model for his followers to emulate.
And then, well, as the book details, comes the inevitable. After a lifetime of advocating for peace, for justice, understanding, the Prophet passes away.
It's a poignant moment in the book, isn't it?
Yeah.
The author describes this, this profound sense of grief that swept through the Muslim community. It speaks volumes, really, about the deep love and respect people had for him.
Yeah. It makes you think about the impact he had, not just as, a prophet delivering a message, but as a leader. I mean, he built a community around these very principles.
Absolutely. And that's where his true legacy lies, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
The Prophet Muhammad, he left behind a legacy that extended far beyond his lifetime. His teachings, his actions, even just his interactions with those around him. They continue to inspire millions across the world today.
It's been an incredible journey delving into the life and legacy of Prophet Muhammad through the lens of this book. We've covered so much ground, from his humble beginnings in Mecca to, his profound impact on the course of history.
It's a testament, really, to the power of a single life, lived with purpose. And the book, it doesn't shy away from the challenges, right? The moments of adversity, even the losses. But it also highlights the resilience, the forgiveness, and that unwavering commitment to building a better world.
So as we reach the end of our deep dive, what are some key takeaways you hope our listener walks away with? What makes this story, this Sirah, relevant to us today?
That's a great question. I think the book, through exploring the Prophet's life, it invites us to, to think critically. about our own values, our motivations. It challenges us to consider how we can apply those principles of compassion, of social justice, diplomacy, in our own lives, really, regardless of our beliefs, backgrounds, anything.
It's a reminder that history, it isn't just about dates and events. It's about, well, it's about the lives of individuals, right? The people who shaped those moments. And their stories, like that of Prophet Muhammad, they can continue to inspire us even centuries later.
Exactly. The Sirah, it offers a powerful lens to view not just history, but our own place, in the world.
Yeah.
It's a call to reflect, to learn, and to strive towards building that more just and compassionate future.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Sirah of the Prophet. We hope this exploration that it's provided you with valuable insights and, well, perhaps even inspired you to delve a little deeper, right, into the life and legacy of this remarkable figure.
After all, as we've discussed, there's always more to learn, more to, well, ponder, more to apply to our own journeys.